Showtime then, huh?
You're on.
Want me to proceed, Wally?
Yes, proceed.
Oh my. Okay, now it shows here a poor connection. Is that that's not a problem. You holler if you, or give me some sign if it seems like we're dying here. Not not my presentation, but in the technology. A little window.
You're doing okay.
A little window. Okay, fair enough. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody, and I'm just thrilled to be able to spend this time with you for a few minutes and to talk with you a little bit about the Rotary Foundation. And you know, Wally was kind enough to share some of the information about the tremendous support that your district has given to the annual fund and polio and just other aspects of the Rotary Foundation. The fact you were a pilot district and you're rolling out now into several years of very active future vision, the new grant model, if you will. All of this stuff is just so exciting for us at the Rotary Foundation. And I want to tell you that some of the, what I was going to do originally, a little bit of an approach to give you some background on what's going on maybe right now and some other things. I thought I wanted to just, I've changed my approach a little bit and come back and maybe just kind of walk through a little bit of Rotary Foundation's history, because you see, the story that of the Rotary Foundation's history is as much your story as it is anywhere else in the Rotary world, because of the incredible support that you have been giving as Rotarians and as Rotary clubs. So let me just go through this a little bit and I'll share a few things. And then I'd like to give you a few updates in terms of where we're headed as I see it over the next 3 or 4 years that might be of interest to you. And then perhaps that'll be about all we'll have time. But let me start out by saying that William Shakespeare said that what is past is prologue. And I look at what the Rotary Foundation has been doing over all these years. As you know, we're celebrating the centennial this year. And I think that what is past is nothing but a prologue for what the future of Rotary is and the Rotary Foundation. And again, I want to underscore thanks very much to the support that you've been giving. You're probably all aware that in 1917, when Arch Plump came up with the idea of the Rotary Foundation, to establish an endowment, if you will, to do good in the world, an initial contribution of $26.50 was made. And you may or may not be aware that it wasn't until 1928, actually, that idea got translated into formal action by the equivalency of the Council on Legislation at that time. And the Rotary Foundation was officially organized and officially named the Rotary Foundation. And in 1928, that was the first class of trustees, and they were all presidents, past presidents of Rotary International at that time. And in 1930, the first grant of the Rotary Foundation was made of $500 to the Crippled Children's Society, later to become the Easter Seals Society. And that program, Crippled Children's Society, was started by a Rotarian. In 1947, when Paul Harris died, over $1.3 million was contributed to the foundation in his memory and in his name and honor. And so that was the first really big jumpstart for the Rotary Foundation, 1947. So it's amazing in a relatively short period of time just how far we've come, as I'll touch on here in a couple of moments. The Rotary Foundation's first program was what later became called the Ambassadorial Scholarship Program. And over the years, over 50,000 scholars, of course, have come through the program, and that again is directly related to the Rotary Foundation. And in 1957 is when the Paul Harris Fellowship was formally established as a recognition device. And I had often thought before we started getting into looking at the history of Rotary that it started at the very time that all this money came in 1947. But it actually took about 10 years for the Paul Harris Fellowship to actually get serious traction.
You never know. those of y'all who have used Skype and Facetime to talk to Rotary Youth Exchange students that are overseas, this sometimes happens. But consider the alternative.
Okay, so am I back?
You're back.
Okay, so where did I leave off? 1917 was it? Okay.
No, you were at the point where you were talking about it took the 10 years to get the traction up.
Yeah, okay, so in 1978 then we had the, let's see here, that was the Paul Harris recognition started in 1957. Anyway, 1978 was a pivotal year for the foundation because that's when the 3H grant program was started, and Health, Hunger, and Humanity, and that was one of the very first projects that was launched by that program was the immunization of 6 million children in the Philippines. And as you know, that success is what was the genesis of coming up with the idea of our Polio Plus program, which actually began in 1985 through 1988 when we raised over almost $250 million, which was a big chunk of money back at that time. And from that, we got into the launch of the Polio Plus program. And I heard a few moments ago before coming on about discussing the Rotary partnerships, if you will, the Global Polio Eradication Initiative and CDC, World Health, and UNICEF and so forth, along with Rotary at that time coming together. And one of the great outcomes of polio at the end of the day, when we're done with the program, is this learning that we have had about working with other organizations of mutual interest in a partnership. And I might mention that it was 1981 when the actual endowment fund itself for the Rotary Foundation was officially established, just a few years before the launch of our Polio Plus program. Several other milestones, and I'll come back to polio maybe in a couple of different ways in a few moments, but I wanted to mention it in 2002, the Rotary Peace Centers program was officially launched, and I know that your district has been submitting applicants, and you've got some Peace Fellows, a very outstanding Peace Fellow alum, I understand, that I'm not sure if in attendance today, but certainly been quite active in the area. But we have over 1,000, we just broke this year, we're now about 1,030 Rotary Peace Fellow alumni out in the field. And we meaning the foundation, but Rotarians just like yourself, we've had a committee working for 12 years to build an endowment of $150 million to permanently endow up to 100 Rotary Peace Fellows every year. And right now, the committee that's been working on this the last few years is at the $146 million threshold, and we expect that by the time we gather in Atlanta to celebrate the centennial of the foundation, we will be well over that $150 million number, which that's really just outstanding. The Arts Club Society was started in 2005, and that has been a very critically important program to producing very significant gifts. As you know, you have some Arts Club Society members coming over a district, and hopefully you might pick up a few more even this year during the centennial year. In fact, I'm in Evanston today at Rotary headquarters. We're celebrating the induction of 23 new couples from Taiwan, Nepal, and throughout the United States. They're being inducted as Arts Club Society members. And we have about 660 AKS members at this time. So we have a big weekend planned for them. In the 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 era, future vision planning was put together conceptually, and as your district was one of the 100 pilot districts, you probably have a pretty good feel for the evolution of the future vision program. And of course, one of the key outcomes was the 6 areas of focus that have helped really crystallize and focus our attention on the 6 major areas of greatest impact in terms of the lives and quality of living for individuals. The global grant process is something that is still a work in progress. We've just completed a major evaluation of the program and making very significant adjustments in the application process online and so forth. Now, in 2016, the current year that we're celebrating the centennial, let me just tell you a few things that you may have heard along the way, but let me just give you a couple of the key things that I think are pretty astounding. In 1917, the first gift to the Rotary Foundation in behalf of the foundation was $26.50. Since that time, in aggregate, we have over $3.2 billion having been given to the Rotary Foundation. The annual fund in 1948 was the first year when following Paul Harris's death and getting the program up and running. About $300,000 we raised that year. To date, through 2015, we have raised for the annual fund in total over $2.3 billion, which is really significant. And one of the things that we're very proud of, and you should be proud of as well, you may be aware of the Charity Navigator, which is in the U.S. the preeminent rating service of nonprofit organizations. They have given Rotary Foundation for a number of years, 8 or 9 years now in a row, a 4-star rating, which is the highest rating for accounting, accountability and transparency and good efficiency. But it just gave Rotary a 100% rating for its financial management, and that is the highest rating. And there are only a matter of very small number, a couple of dozen probably, that are organizations in the United States that are given that rating. So the foundation is proving itself a good steward. CNBC in December, this past December, rated the Rotary Foundation number 5 of the top 10 charities in the world, changing the world in 2015. And so this is something also that identifies just the impact that the Rotary Foundation's been having. Now, I don't know what numbers you were receiving earlier today on polio, but a couple of things. Because of over the last 30 plus years that you fellow Rotarians, men and women and everybody in the communities that have been supporting around the world our polio initiative, over 15 million children did not acquire polio, did not get polio, thanks to the immunization program that Rotary has been pressing all these years. We've raised over $1.7 billion, Rotarians have. And we just had a report about 1 hour ago with the Arch Pump Society inductees on polio, and of the $1.7 billion raised, $1.6 billion of that has been spent. So we still have some money in reserve, but that money is going out as the needs arise. In Nigeria, which you're familiar with and probably heard a report on, we're going to have to place some additional money into that particular need at that point to respond to the issues that surfaced with Nigeria. But going forward real quickly, and then I'll conclude, by the end of, right now we're looking at, based on what the World Health Organization and UNICEF have done in their analysis, and they're constantly updating this on a quarterly basis, right now we're looking at a path that might allow the world to be certified sometime in the year 2019. It is quite believable at this point based on all the facts that we have aware of, but we don't know for sure that that's obviously going to happen, as we discovered with Nigeria. But we're very hopeful and are continuing to work on this. We have launched this year a goal to raise, first of all, the endowment fund of the Rotary Foundation has $1 billion with a B, a little over $1 billion, of which 1/3 of that is in net assets. Cash assets that are spinning off $12 to $14 million a year for Rotary Foundation programs and activities. And the rest are in expectancies. And the trustees have approved a program to raise $2.025 billion by 2025. We're calling that 2025 by 2025 to build the endowment fund. And our goal is to have by 2025 $1 billion in net assets. We have been, we just launched about 6 months ago a future planning committee process for the Rotary Peace Center.